Hello.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mondays at Microsoft, where we break down the next 2 weeks and what just happened in the Microsoft world for you with a special focus on modern work, AI, and Power Platform. I'm Karuana Gatimu, Principal Manager of the Microsoft 365 Customer Advocacy Group, and I'm here with my awesome traveling friend.
Hello, everybody. Heather Cook, Principal PM on the Customer Advocacy team, as well, coming to you live from Rogers Park in Chicago. So, yay. Good stuff.
That's fantastic. And if you're watching on LinkedIn, you'll get your links as we discuss the topics. And on YouTube, we put them in the segment description right after the show. Hopefully, you are streaming us on our community learning channel on YouTube because there's so much cool stuff out there. Other community calls, tutorials, and demos. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little bell to notify yourself when new content drops there for sure.
Awesome. Right on. Well, it's been I would say a busy, interesting couple of weeks, hasn't it?
I think
Just
that's kind of the understatement of the year. There's
burying
just
the
so
lead.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep. Do you want
There's
to? Do you want to start off with the AI work for the government? Check that out
yes.
with everybody. Big Rock.
And
Cool.
don't worry, we aren't ignoring the biggest issue, bro, but we
Oh
have a whole segment on it later. So
yeah,
don't you
absolutely.
worry. We won't forget. I hope
Yeah.
you're all got where you needed to go eventually. But in the meantime, there's other stuff going on, and we want to talk about how Microsoft and AI are working to reduce government benefit fraud and mistakes, right? Governments do remarkable work to help people live with dignity and endure difficult circumstances. And they do that by providing essential benefits and resources across a huge spectrum of programs. This is the work of the day in and day out government employees that many of us sometimes take for granted. Yet the challenge of providing the right benefits at the right time to everyone and to qualified recipients, while also minimizing the incidence of improper payments, is a balancing act. And many governments struggle to achieve that. So, what Microsoft is doing is we're helping agencies and organizations to address that type of challenge. And that's central to our work in Microsoft for Government, right? We focus on enabling thriving communities and inclusive programs through technology. In the case of benefits protection, we work to help governments discover the right mix of technological and organizational innovation to mitigate risk within the parameters of their, unique circumstances and requirements. Fraud is especially expensive and it's a multidimensional problem. And just one example is Microsoft working with the Government Accountability Office, and they estimated the amount of fraud in US unemployment insurance programs during COVID-19 was likely between 100 billion and 135 billion dollars, folks. That's with a B. So, everything we can do to bring AI to the table in smart ways, excuse me, will allow us to make sure that benefits are going where they're most needed at the right time. Heather?
Gotcha. And yeah, and we had a bunch of stuff happen around Microsoft Designer, which was really exciting. So, we've got, all of our creative processes, start with a big idea. And that really starts with all of us, right? These big ideas come from our beautiful brains. And so the Designer app is generally available with a personal Microsoft account with a bunch of new features. So you can express yourself and your brand in many, many different ways. It's now integrated into a bunch of Microsoft products, Word and PowerPoint, through Microsoft Copilot and also Microsoft Photos. So super exciting. People have been, messing around playing with Designer. I think Jack Robothon launched that out, doing a bunch of stuff with it. Shout out to Jack, who is awesome on our marketing team. And Designer is also now available in 80 languages on the web. It's now a free mobile app, and then it's also an app in Windows. And so really excited to, just do more with that wonderful program that so many of us use for our social media and our fun and, birthday and anniversaries and all that kind of stuff, so it's really exciting to have congrats to the Designer team for getting out a new GA version of that product. It's pretty awesome. So
Yes, and I made my Christmas card last season using Designer. It was so much fun. I made a Designer version of my family with my two Labradors and my husband, and it was just great. And it also taught me a lot about prompting because I used AI to do that. And so it
Mhm.
was a fun but practical example of learning how to prompt like a pro, which is, of course, what our next item is about. And
Yeah.
there are more tips and tricks about working with Copilot in Teams. And, if you haven't tried this yet, I know hopefully lots of you are trying different types of prompts on the web, copilot.microsoft.com, because that's a fantastic place to get started. If you log in, you have that commercial data protection, which is so essential. But for those of you who are using Copilot for Microsoft 365 in Teams, I love this one. Catch up on information faster by asking Copilot for key takeaways from a chat or for specific information that you might have missed. So you just go to that really long thread that everybody's chiming in on and go, Copilot, what are my key takeaways from this chat? Do you know how much time that saves me in a day? Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
And Copilot in chats and channels will give better responses with more specific direction, right? So making sure you say, what are my key takeaways? What information did I miss? Right. And just work with it. You can use your own words, obviously. It's a natural language interface. But you want to get comfortable with doing that because Copilot really is a time saver when you tailor it to your specific scenario for sure. And speaking of Copilot and things being tailored to your scenario, I am super excited to announce that the Microsoft 365 conference sessions, keynotes, and our technical deep dives are all available on our community conference learning channel. And so that's all out there by on demand. There's a few more that might trickle through. But we're so happy. We even have an awesome sizzle video for you that we are going to roll right now.
Keynotes and sessions from the 2024 Microsoft 365 Community Conference are on demand now. You do not want to miss this year's keynotes about the future of work with Microsoft Teams, reshaping productivity with Copilot for Microsoft 365, and delivering business value and user satisfaction in the era of AI. There are over 60 on-demand sessions from Microsoft experts, MVPs, and industry leaders, all curated for you to discover the latest innovations in AI and start building your skills on Microsoft's most important products today. Start watching keynotes and sessions on demand now on the Microsoft Community Learning Channel.
Ooh, that was fun. Right on. That was great. Um, nice job, Jean,
That
on
was
that one.
super fancy, super
Yeah.
fancy.
Super good. So check that out, y'all, on the YouTube channel. And other fancy cool things going on too, kind of locally here for, like, why is she in Chicago? Well, I came for the M365 Chicago Community Days that was here this last week and on Saturday. And it was awesome. It was so great to get everybody back in person. There were a few hybrid sessions. My keynote was also streamed, which was super cool. So just a big shout out to Michael Blumenthal, Ralph Rivas, Heather Ackerman, Dan Ray, Jeff Wellinger, David Giard, Craig Jenke, all the folks who volunteered, all of the speakers who flew in from all over the world, and sponsors as well. And then, so I don't even know if I told you this, but Tammy McMiller, who we mentioned last time from Plan Heal, who's doing that super cool stuff with AI for health records, Karuana. So I had her come and be featured in this keynote because she's local here to Chicago. I didn't have a chance to tell you this. So yeah, so that was super cool. And so shout out to Tammy and her team. Yeah. So that was really great. So it was really cool to get her in front of everybody and everybody meet and stuff. So just thank you to everybody for that. And, Community Days New York, you're going to next week. So Caruana is going to be there to do keynoting for that. And so, we've got so many, and we'll talk about the rest of the events that are coming here in our event section. But, trying to get to Chicago on Friday was a little bit of a challenge for sure. I was one of the folks that also had to, deal with many of the flight cancellations and stuff. And I am a determined lady, so got rebooked and stuff. But on a serious note, the CrowdStrike outage that happened, they're an independent cybersecurity company. They released a software update that obviously began impacting IT systems globally. It was not a Microsoft incident. However, it impacted our ecosystem greatly. And there is an update blog that's here about the steps we've taken with CrowdStrike and also with others to remediate and support customers. It's hard when these things happen, and I was sorry to see it happen. And, so many of us were everybody was pretty surprised as well. So, there's ongoing communication that's happening. External developers are working on it. The focus is obviously giving customers technical guidance, safely bringing, any disrupted systems back online. There's a workaround that's in the blog. There's public statements from Satya Nadella, and also in the Windows Message Center. And then, there was a lot of work done cross companies with Google Cloud and AWS. So we were working with them as well to really share awareness on the state of the impact and just making sure that remediation could happen quickly. So all of that stuff is in this blog post. And just saying, it's one of those things that, the percentage wise of the Windows machines were affected was actually very small. However, the impact of our broad interconnected ecosystem in our world was hugely affected. And so I think that's, we're learning about how to recover and move forward and be effective together, and also look out for things like this in the future, and make sure there's no, single points of failure, those sorts of things, and make sure things are getting tested and all of that as well. So just wanted to make sure we address that, because it was a big thing that happened and affected a lot of people. And people are still dealing with getting systems back online and getting home from travels and that sort of thing as well. So Karuana, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
No, just a big shout out to all the IT personnel who had to work so hard to try to recover from this. I mean, your average IT professional has to deal with things not as large as this on a regular basis, but obviously things that impact the desktop. And sometimes it's a thankless job, and people tend to take their stress out on the local IT person because they don't understand CrowdStrike from Microsoft, from the fact that they can't do what they need to do for their job. So I just am sending lots of energy and thanks to the people who worked so hard to recover from this incident, because it's a difficult job. And I'm so glad to see, this is when coming together as a technology industry is really important across Google and AWS and Microsoft to support, recovery from this incident. So shout out to everybody who has been working on that across the land.
Yeah. And in the service industry too, I saw so many people, people get frustrated, especially traveling and all of that. And people were so great, and so a shout out to everybody who works of service as well. Thank you for taking care of people, and hopefully we're all leading with grace with each other in those situations for sure. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I saw a great segment this week from one of my favorite comedians, and he was talking about the fact that the grace that we get in those small conversations and interactions with people out in the real world is who people actually are, as opposed to sometimes how they show up online. And I was reminded of that this week. Just being pleasant to each other out in the world makes a huge difference. So, sometimes everybody needs a little extra help. And that's what this next segment is about also. I don't know if you've heard about Team Copilot, but you're going to want to understand this. This next article that we have is 100% worth the 3 minutes it's going to take you to scan it. What if you could add a meeting facilitator or a group collaborator and a project manager to your team? We know you're not going to get all those resources, but what if Copilot could help you do that? Beyond just acting as a virtual assistant, new capabilities are being delivered in the Copilot space later this year, and that will allow Copilot to take on these roles and be able to increase its contribution to your productivity, your creativity, and really expanding your capacity to get stuff done, which is what we all want to do. You will always be in control. That's why it's called Copilot, right? You are in control, but it can support you by unlocking these efficiencies and new ways of working. And you can also build custom Copilots in Copilot Studio, of course. Many of you know about this already, but I want you to think about these scenarios, right? We're moving into year 2 of this technology, and now's the time to be thinking about the extensibility component of Copilot, whether it's low code in Microsoft Copilot Studio, or whether you decide to extend beyond that in some pro developer scenarios. the Copilot capabilities with your company's data is where the really magic happens. And having Copilot be able to act as an independent agent with your oversight is really, I just, the first time I saw this, I was like, oh my goodness. Yes, I need a project manager like this in every one of my bazillion projects that I do, because I'm not really that good at that anymore. I used to make my living as a PM. But now, if I'm the only one in the room taking tasks, that's a terrifying thing. So I need that help for sure. So my whole team would tell you that. What is she saying now? Now,
Somebody write that down.
they can just stick a Copilot to my hip, and I'll just go around and do what I do. So it's just fantastic, though. So make sure you check that article out.
Yeah, that's a good one. And, the sort of leaping into the business application space as well. So Clay and Merrick on the Power Platform product team are putting together these great roundups, monthly roundups of what's going on. And this one is a really big one coming up because the release wave 2 for the business applications team for Power Platform and Dynamics 365 comes out in October. So they release every year, April, October, stuff in between, but the big ones are those 2 months, which you probably know that already. But there's a great video that is got a bunch of this in it. And, you think about it, 2019, really 5 years ago, was when we had the word power and platform come together. It's not been that long. So the growth that the team talks about in this article is massive. The value that developers bring, it's 33 million users to Microsoft Power Platform every month. And there's a 40% year-on-year growth for Power Apps users. Like, that's in 5 years, that's just mind-boggling. It's amazing, So I think, what Karuana was talking about with Copilot, embedding, with Copilot Studio, the whole app creation process from that first idea through the editing of it until the publishing of it. We have 330,000 organizations that have already used Copilot in the Microsoft Power Platform, and some of the original uses of large language models and and AI in general were out in Power Platform in 2021. Early. So a lot of people who have gotten their hands on it, you didn't even really know that you were using that. And now we're like, oh, it's a large language model, natural language, and people are like, oh, wait a minute, I was doing that way before. So it's kind of cool. Copilot, AI in general, it's driving speed for us, right? It's making us, it makes me faster. I'm pretty fast already, but it's certainly making me faster when I need to do things, especially repetitive work, repetitive tasks and things. So, it's not just a tool for beginners or non-developers, it's a tool for pro devs too, to boost and make things faster for folks. So definitely check this article out. It's got kind of everything that's coming out from this space and area, and Clay and Merrick do a great job with that. Also jumping into Fabric, our friends over on the Fabric side, general availability. I loved this article because I was like, what? Time travel? I was like, what? Am I going to, are they putting out a TARDIS? Because this is awesome. But it was the general availability of time travel. And it was hilarious. I was like, 30 days retention in the Fabric warehouse. So they're extending the data retention period to 30 calendar days. So that opens up new avenues for exploration, leveraging a bunch of warehouse features, time travel at the T-SQL statement level, which is what it really is, but and time travel with a table clone and restoration and all of that stuff. So it's underscoring, a commitment to agility and also customer centricity. Customers, you all have been asking for this, and so the Fabric team has responded and said, "Here we go, more time travel for you, yay!" So pretty cool. And then, like I was saying, that release wave 2 plans for Dynamics 365 and Power Platform are now available. So it's the new capabilities that are being released October 2024 through March 2025. So this is a forward look of what's coming, y'all. So you want to know the future in Power Platform and Dynamics 365. This is a great place to check it out. A shout out to the team over there, Ryan Martin, who is definitely a peer of ours and mine. And he and the team have taken over the release wave, and they're doing a great job putting that out. So shout out to the CXT team over in the business applications world. So pretty cool summary of release well there. I think that's that for that segment. Lots of cool stuff.
It
Yeah.
is a cool stuff. And now I'm not sure if we're talking about technology or if we're a sci-fi show. You talked about time travel, you talked about knowing the future. It's amazing. But one of the other things I just want to call out with all of these new features, remember, this is a career opportunity for you. There's fantastic training materials on learn.microsoft.com. If you'd like to
Yep.
move from SharePoint into Power Platform, or maybe you've been in Classic SQL and you want to understand Fabric, maybe you just want to expand your developer capabilities from what you've classically been doing in Microsoft 365 and include more of Copilot
Yeah.
Studio and everything that's happening there. This is free content that's available to you right now today. Make
Yep.
some time, invest in yourself, because there's no limit to where you can go in your career with this technology. And healthy careers make healthy jobs and healthy families, which is awesome for the planet, right?
Yep.
And so I feel like it's really important I'm always so proud of Microsoft for investing so much in its learning material. And one of the new things that you can check out on learn.microsoft.com is the various functional roles and the different types
Mm.
of applied skills that you can now learn. They've taken to organizing these learning paths in ways that are more applicable to business, and they're continually updating that. So go check that out, take a look. And if you're new out there, check out our Community Skills Challenge. We're always happy to help you get or create some of that foundational learning in the space as well. So just a little plug for the learning stuff.
Yeah. Well, absolutely, 100%. I'll do a real world example real quick before we get into events. I'm with some of my friends from high school that I don't see all the time. A friend of mine's been a teacher for a very long time, and she's been in math and doing all kinds of great things, computers. And we were talking a lot about, things that she could do either next or on top of or whatever. And I was like, hey, so what's you doing? She's like, oh yeah, I teach computers and math and da 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 da. And I was like, so what are yours? She's like, oh, Excel and PowerPoint. No, no, no. And I was like, have you heard of Power BI? And she was like, what? No, tell me more. And I was telling her about it. And she was like, and I was like, yeah, there's all this training. And she was like, wow. And I was like, yeah, something for when you, after your, years and years of service as a teacher, maybe you want to get into that and check that out. So we had that conversation driving in a car on the way back from brunch. So, there's next steps to people's careers that maybe you don't even know about yet, so this learning, this stuff that's there is available for sure. So, and a lot of it, we learn about through all of these great programs, the Microsoft Global Community Initiative, MGCI, which you can join and be a part of that conversation and that learning and that all of the things that we're pushing out through this initiative. And then communitydays.org, where I'm here in Chicago this week. There's tons of wonderful events coming up. We had some past events happen. We had a community conference in Toronto. We've had the Chicago Community Days just happen as well. I got a chance to sit down with Manpreet Singh, who is working on this AI community conference tour, who is in Chicago, and I learned all about that. So shout out to those of you who've been working on that. It is a tour. It is a AI community tour, MVPs and community members coming together to put on these shows, which is super cool. And I didn't know all about them yet. So it was awesome to have that moment to sit and have that conversation. We've got Summit NA Roadshow coming up in Seattle, the BizUps Partner Summit coming up. Yes, there's the fantastic list of the things that are coming. So a lot of great stuff coming up the next 2 weeks and into August as well. AMP Colombo in Sri Lanka. We've got Community Days Monterey in Mexico. So a ton of stuff happening as usual. Folks are listing their events on communitydays.org every moment. Every time I look, there's like a few more being added, especially people are now thinking about 2025 and also the rest of this year. There's some paid events coming up too. We've got Sydney, Australia, Debbie Ireland's event, and Tech Bahinian, which is coming up with Drizzle and that whole wonderful team in Manila in the Philippines. And then TechCon DC coming up in Washington, Karuana, Tiffany on our team and Josh Liparati are all going to be there speaking as well. So just so many great things coming up. And it was really cool to be at another one of these events. I went to Miami in February and I came to this one and a lot of great learning, thinking about how we can improve just helping and supporting these events and what's needed, from thinking about venue and sponsorship and food and beverage and, picking speakers and all of that. So we're working on a couple of things right now through the initiative, a Microsoft Field playbook that is very close to being done and being pushed out into like how to work with the Microsoft Field, people who are out locally in your regions, how to work with them, how to contact them and all of that. And we're working on how-tos for budget and sponsorship and doing all of those things in a playbook. A lot of that material and templates actually already up on the community initiative site. So if you haven't joined, that's the way to get to that stuff. So please come join us. Love to share more of those materials. And we're also going to talk about how to get a venue, how to get space. That's something in the world right now that's been interesting because of COVID. Lots of things have changed in the world of facilities and real estate, not just with Microsoft offices, but with community colleges and other places that were typical spaces to gather. So I think we're going to be doing some more thinking with our community board, community members, and our regional leaders about like how do we do this? How do we continue to gather and where? So I'm really excited to continue to have those conversations with all of you. And bring it out,
Can you tell how excited Heather is about the Global Community Initiative? Oh my goodness. I need more caffeine, man. But here's the thing. In case you haven't noticed, the pace of change right now is pretty intense. That's not your imagination. Used to be at Microsoft that summer was a pretty mellow time. We all got to regroup a little bit, lots of vacations, all that good stuff. Nada. That is not what's happening this summer. We are gearing up and more stuff is going to continue to drop, which is why we're going to keep coming to you. We'll be back again on August 5th. But every couple of weeks, there's something amazing happening over here across this space. And I'm really excited to note that we're going to have some of our friends from the security space joining us in upcoming shows. Yes, you didn't hear things, and we were both busy last week with fun stuff and AI tour. Oh my goodness, I didn't know about that. I'm telling you, I watched this show. I participate in the show, so I know what the heck is going on. But yes, we're bringing this community news together. They have, security, compliance, identity, and management. They have a very robust community. They're coming into the fold with everything we're doing. We're super excited to welcome them. And that's going to really give you the full picture of what Microsoft is doing kind of from soup to nuts there. And so because we pay attention to the Windows space as well. Don't think we don't pay attention to them. We definitely do. So we really want to be your one-stop shop. We're excited to be here with you. We want to thank you for watching and listening and sharing either live or on demand. And we are thrilled to come back to you. And Heather, I don't know, I'm really excited to go to DC to go to this live show. And then I get to go to New York. That event is going to be in the Microsoft facility in the Times Square office. So that is going to be exciting. I love New York City. So I'm very honored to get a chance to go and speak there. Always trying to do a good job for those community events. I don't get nervous at the big events for Microsoft. I do get nervous at the community events because, they're close to my heart and they really, the Microsoft events, of course, they matter to me as well. But that's those small, intimate groups. You just really want to do a good job. And so I'm always a little bit nervous.
Yeah. And, there are those things, as we know, they're a lot of work, it's the things that one does for a big show are very similar for a small show, like the actual steps of things that you have to do. So it's scale and volume with a big show, obviously, and there's more, and usually more things that are being programmed. Yeah, complexity and all of that stuff. But you got to get people registered, you got to feed them, and you got to move people around.
Checklist, right? The event management checklist that's in the community is not any different. You just add a couple extra things to make a humongous show out of it. So big shout out to those community organizers. I'm just really happy to support them. And I'm always happy to be here with you and, continuing to go through, all the amazing stuff that's happening. But I just want to validate people's vibe out there that yes, it is a super intense time. Yes, changes are coming fast and furious. Yes, it is going to continue as we move towards Microsoft Ignite in the fall. There's always a big push and a run up to that. Right there where you are, right? Exactly.
Absolutely. McCormick Place.
And lots of community stuff will be happening around that. And so I'm excited about everything. Yep. What'd you say?
People keep asking me, they're like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "It's coming soon. I
Coming
just had a
soon.
meeting about it. Coming soon."
Right.
So
Just
in the
give
next
us
couple
a
of weeks.
minute. I mean, we do need a minute for planning. I was kind of into that quiet summer thing, frankly.
Well,
It let me
I'm
get more
trying.
organized. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a little
Well,
tired.
I'm gonna spend the rest of the day on a boat on a lake today. So, that's what's up.
That's
But
what you should do. That's exactly what you should do. All right, everybody. This is
yes,
Money's at Microsoft signing
yes.
up. Thank you so much for joining. See you again on
Sure,
August
sure.
5th. Have a
Yay.
great day wherever you are. Bye.
Yes. Bye. Thanks.